welcome to Silverstone for the latest encounter of the BRSCC National Formula Ford Championship with Avon Tyres. It's been a fantastic season so far. Ross Martin currently leads the championship, followed by Spike Colbecker. But this weekend we've got some new faces and old faces. Joey Foster, Michael Moyers and also Mike Eastwell are joining us this weekend. All very talented drivers, all capable of winning. But before we get into the action here at Silverstone, let's have a recap of what happened at Kirkstown.
The annual visit across the Irish Sea for the Avon Tyres National Formula Ford Championship to the Kirkstown circuit in Northern Ireland is always a massive favourite with all drivers that head across, and the 2019 edition was no exception. Champion leader Ross Martin had to try and defend his advantage over the Cliff Dempsey trio of Spike Colbecker, Jonathan Brown and James Clark, but even from the opening laps there was action aplenty. William Heron outbraked himself into Colonial, tagged the side of Ivan McCullough's Van Diemen chassis, and the Irish driver was out on the spot with damage to the radiator. One of the stars from last year was Alan Davidson in the Mondial chassis, but a spin up at the hairpin didn't do his cause any favours. Then, further contact with Jonathan Brown failing a move up the inside of Rory Smith saw the Medina chassis with right front suspension, and sadly Smith was out on the spot. There was a dramatic accident when William Heron tapped the back of Jamie Sharp's car, and the subsequent puncher slowed Jamie Sharp enough to see William Heron soaring into the air after contact with the rear of the Van Diemen. His car was okay, and thankfully so was William, and both would compete for the rest of the weekend. But as the championship contenders sought to challenge him, nobody could overhaul Michael Eastwell. In his first race back in 2019, after he stood to take a break for a few months, he was able to head to the front of the field and take the checkered flag in his first race back in the championship, to his delight. The second race was decided in dramatic fashion too, as James Clark hit the back of Jonathan Brown under brakes towards Colonial. James Clark's first national win would have to be sit on the sidelines once again, as he went off the road with right front suspension damage. On the drag race to the line, Jonathan Brown did all he could to try and overhaul championship leader Martin, but he couldn't do it, meaning Martin could pick up another victory and one step closer to the national title. James Clark's weekend went from bad to worse when he got hit in the opening laps and saw his chance of his victory nosedive even further as he soared towards the back of the field. But as the main contenders all battled, it was local favourite Ivan McCullough who sought off all who tried to attack him, and he went on to take on a sensational victory in the national championship. What a weekend it was, and hopefully there'll be more of the same when they revisit back in 2020. So the cars now make their way onto the grid here at Silverstone on the national circuit. This is very much a warm-up for the Walter Hayes Trophy and a key weekend of the championship. And Michael Eastwell starts on pole position with Jonathan Brown alongside him on the front row. Welcome back to Michael Moyers and championship contender Ross Martin on row 2. James Clark and Joe Foster from Thomas Capazone on row 4. Then Tom MacArthur and Michael McPherson, Jamie Sharp and Henry Chart, and Morgan Quinn and John Svensson. Looking down the rest of the grid, Pascal Monbaron on the grid as well, and then with Nigel Dolan, Adam Quartermain, Sam Street and Rory Smith starting from towards the back of the grid. So here we are then for the first 15 minutes of action here at Silverstone on the national circuit. Let's see who can come out on top as the revs rise and race number 1 is set to get underway. Plenty of onboard cameras as we get set for action on the national circuit. Lights out and we are racing here at Silverstone. Here is the onboard shot from Ross Martin as they head up towards turn 1 for the first time. Brown looks as though he'll get the whole shot from Eastwell in second place, so he's managed to pick up pole position after starting on the inside of row 1. This is on board with James Clark as he runs wide at Copse on the sprint down towards Maggots and Beckett. There's one car to our right, can't quite see who it is, so they head down under brakes. It's Ross Martin, so into Maggots and Beckett under the sunshine here for the first time as they pile in. And the field makes its way through, and there towards the back is John Svensson. And he's battling away with another one of the cars, Pascal Monbaron, who's one of the Cliff Dempsey extra chassis. It was John Svensson in that car last time at Kirkstown, but Pascal Monbaron has picked it up instead. This is James Clark going wheel to wheel with Ross Martin, as round the outside looks Michael Eastwell. Michael Moyers watches on in third position. And this is Spike Colbecker. And on the left there is double festival champion Joey Foster back in the championship this weekend. And he's also scrapping away after a brilliant start with championship contender and championship leader Ross Martin. So out of the first few corners they go then, out onto the end of lap number 1. There's Joey Foster going round the outside of Spike Colbecker as they head down the pit straight towards Copse Corner to start lap 2. We're on board with Colbecker, looking at the back of Joey Foster as Ross Martin turns his way in 5th position. And now we see that Jonathan Brown coming under threat, not just from the Spectrum chassis in front, but the car behind, because Michael Eastwell is in front, Michael Moyers is behind, and they're both trying to overthrow Jonathan Brown as they head into the braking zone. Going round the outside goes Joey Foster, battling away with James Clark as they head out through Maggots and Beckett's and onto the Wellington straight for the second time. This long train of Formula Fords. And here's Rory Smith. He started towards the back of the field. He's already onto the tail of Pascal Monbaron. Looking to the outside of the Swiss drivers, they come down towards Brooklands. And again, it's 2x2 into the left-hander. All this long left-hander up towards Luffield, which arcs its way around back onto the pit straight. Despite Colbecker now battling away. That thing that might be Joe Foster on his outside as Colbecker fights for a track position. Jonathan Brown's on the outside of Michael Moyes, who may have track position. They go side by side on the sprint through Woodcote Corner. And Michael Moyes does get his nose in front. That means now it is a Kevin Mills Spectrum 1-2 with Eastwell leading and Moyes in second place. Here comes Joey Foster up the inside for third place, but Brown's got the momentum. Round the outside goes the Irishman. So the man from Cornwall will have to hold on for the moment in fourth place. Back on board with James Clark. He's now still looking at the back of Joey Foster's Furman chassis. Good to see that car back out, but last time we saw it, it was back at the festival. And it looks that it's Joey's first appearance of the season, and certainly trying to make the most of it as he tries to prepare not just for the Walter Hayes Trophy, but also for the Formula Ford Festival next month. Here's Ross Martin looking for third place, looking to the inside line as he now darts around the back of what looks to be James Clark. He's led into Brooklands once more. And that was a scrap for fifth place, forgive me. So that's now Ross Martin now being assaulted from all sides. He's got Colbecker behind him. We're now riding on board with the American. He tags the back of Ross Martin. I don't think the Scotsman will appreciate that one. That's the two main championship contenders making a little bit of contact, and they're side by side through Woodcote. Tom MacArthur's in there as well on one of the BM Racing chassis. They head up through Woodcote and down the pit straight once again to end another lap. It's the view from Jamie Sharp, one of Ross Martin's Team Dolan teammates. That's Thomas Capazone in the Swift chassis, the Frenchman. Good to see a few more European drivers in this race here at Silverstone. That's a bit of bodywork coming off. That was either from Ross Martin or Tom MacArthur, and luckily Jamie Sharp didn't get clipped by it. So I think that was a bit of a saving grace as they head back into Maggots and Beckett's. Lock up from Foster on the outside into the right-hander, which arcs around onto the Wellington straight. And now Ross Martin coming a little bit of pressure. That's Joey Foster off the left-hand side. So Joey Foster with engine problems. The Furman chassis is off the road. And sadly looks though that might be his race done and dusted already before it's even got to half distance. Lots of battling in the midfield as they come back into Brooklands once again, and that was Tom MacArthur that lost the sort of piece of the nose section that covers the front suspension or the front shocks. Now this is Jamie Sharp still battling away with Thomas Capazone. So here's the top three. Eastwell from Moyes, then from Jonathan Brown. James Clark is fourth. There is Ross Martin. Now it is feasible for him to win the championship this weekend. He just needs results to go his way, and he could leave Silverstone with the national title wrapped up and meeting early before they head to Brands Hatch in a couple of weeks' time. And here is the fight further down at the bottom of the top 10. There is Michael McPherson battling away with Jamie Sharp. So Jamie Sharp's lost another place. He might lose one more because Rory Smith's charging to his outside on the sprint down towards Maggots and Beckett's under braking. Under quite unseasonal blazing sunshine here at Silverstone in September. So it's not very much autumnal weather, more like late summer in many cases. Rory Smith grabs another gear down the Wellington straight. Everyone in the tow down towards Brooklands. It's this long drag under the bridge. And watching in front, McPherson's trying to put a move on Capazone by the looks of things, but also watch for MacArthur going down the outside line to hold on. Jamie Sharp goes around the outside of one, maybe two. He's gone past McPherson. We'll have the inside line for Capazone. Is there going to be contact? A little bit of a twitch of oversteer from Jamie Sharp, but he holds on for the moment. So whilst that battle goes on in the midfield, here is the scrap for the lead with two Kevin Mills cars. Michael Eastwell from Michael Moyes, but is that a little bit of smoke or a little bit of mist from the back end of Moyes' car? I'm not sure whether it's a bit of oil or not. Either way, they head up through Copse Corner again. This is the scrap for fourth going on between James Clark and Ross Martin. And here is on board with Ross, of course, champion-elect. He's had quite a few victories this season. He would love to wrap up the title this weekend if possible, but it's going to be quite a task if he's going to manage it. So through Maggots and Beckett's again. There's the Furman chassis of Joey Foster off to the left with engine problems, so unfortunately he will have to start race 2 from the back of the grid. This is Rory Smith, a quick glance across from Jamie Sharp. That's where Rory is, and now he's pointing to Jamie Sharp. Look, don't fight me, let me through, and let's work together to catch the cars in front. So the two Kevin Mills cars, being careful not to swap places. Still a little bit of, looks to be mist or some steam or smoke out the back of Michael Eastwell's car. I'm not quite sure what that is. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, but it certainly isn't affecting his pace too much as they come through Woodcote once again. There is Moyes, double Walter Hayes Trophy winner, and he'd certainly like to make it 3 this year if he can, although he's using this as a bit of a warm-up before the event in the beginning of November. But it's good to see him back on the National Formula Ford grid and battling away with his teammate Michael Eastwell, his first race back in National Formula Fords on British shores. And we now see Jamie Sharp with Rory Smith in front. They're bump drafting again, so they are starting to try and work together. So Rory Smith's hand gesturing seems to have given Jamie Sharp the message. Just further back, I just saw Morgan Quinn and Aaron Jeanson, the American, battling over position outside the top 10 into Maggots and Beckett's, but Quinn's kept the place. And this is the view from Jamie Sharp, of course, ex-British F4 driver for a couple of seasons. He stepped back into Formula Ford, and certainly learning his craft here. As a change for the lead into Brooklands, Eastwell has lost the lead to Michael Moyers, who's run very wide on the exit of Brooklands, and back through goes not only Michael Eastwell, but also I think Jonathan Brown too, so watch for that. Yes, they have. So Eastwell back to the front, Brown second. It's now Moyers back down to third after that mistake, and now he's coming into the clutches of Ross Martin as they come through Woodcote Corner. And that was Ross Martin. I think there's that bit of oil on the back of the from the back of Moyers' car onto the camera lens of Ross Martin's car, whatever it is. A little bit misty on the onboard camera from Martin as he looks to the outside line, carrying the momentum through Cropps Corner. And now this also gives a chance for James Clark to get involved too. We're on board with him, 5th position. It's side by side for 3rd. Martin goes down the outside into the right. He's going for 3rd. He's going for 2nd round the outside of Jonathan Brown if he can make it. He's going for it round the outside, runs out wide, slots back into 3rd place behind the number 122 of Jonathan Brown. And they're both trying to set up Eastwell down towards Brooklands. It could be 3 abreast under brakes as they come back past the BRDC grandstand. Side by side for 2nd. Martin's up the inside of Brown, but the next corner is a right-hander, which will give Brown the inside line if he can hold on. Eastwell. This is now Colbecker watching that battle. He's back in 5th position, watching these two scrap over 3rd. And again, they're wheel to wheel for the 2nd lap in succession. Martin again sweeps in front of Jonathan Brown, but now the Irishman has both of his teammates backing him up down the pit straight. The 3 Cliff Dempsey cars are in a line, and just behind them you saw a glimpse there of Rory Smith. He's in 7th place. He's caught up to the train here. He's broken away from that scrap from 8th place downwards, and he's now right onto the tail of the half dozen, battling over the lead and the podium. Back with Spike Colbecker under the sunshine, watching James Clark looking down the outside line of what would be Ross Martin for 3rd position. He looks round the outside of the Scotsman. The 2 Kevin Mills cars currently have this race under control at the moment. They head out of Maggots and Beckett's down the back straight. Colbecker in the slipstream. Does he give a bit of a bump draft to his teammate? He does. Latches onto the rear of James Clark, but we saw back at Kyrgyzstan, you get the bump draft wrong and you can send a car spinning, so you've got to be careful as Martin shows his nose up the inside for 2nd place on Moyers. The 3 Cliff Dempsey cars are going into combat. In fact, one of them's been picked off already by Rory Smith. I think that must have been Colbecker. So that's now Rory Smith up to 6th position. His now next target is going to be, no, it was James Clark in fact, so James Clark has lost out, so Spike Colbecker is the next target for Rory Smith. Up through Woodcote again, down the pit straight. 7 of them all together. The battle behind is also going on between Tom MacArthur and Jamie Sharp as up the inside. Look to Smith for 5th position. It's a cracking first race of the weekend so far. Still a little bit of mist or something coming out the back of Michael Eastwell's car. I'm not sure if it's... Or Michael Moyers, forgive me. Michael Moyers has got the mist coming out the back of his Spectrum chassis, but Eastwell still leads somehow from all the melee behind him. 3rd place again as once more Martin and Brown go side by side. Martin's keeps his line. Brown's all over the curbs on the exit, and now we've got the view from Rory Smith. He's in the tow. The next target is going to be Spike Colbecker. This will be to take 5th position, then fanning out once again on the brakes down towards Brooklands. Looking down the outside goes Spike Colbecker. Ross Martin, the 2 championship contenders, are wheel to wheel on the exit. He has the inside line for Luffield. Smith likewise tries to get up the inside of Brown. They all drift wide. There's a bit of contact between the top 2 in the championship. Colbecker's muscled his way through. He loses 1 position. Martin White leads a 2nd if Brown can get the tow through Woodcote Corner, which he does. Martin's being hung out to dry on the inside line, and here comes Rory Smith. They're going to make it 3 abreast down the pit straight. Up against the pit wall, down the inside. It's now going to be Smith, Jonathan Brown and Ross Martin. Martin goes round the outside of Ross Martin. That goes round the outside of Rory Smith. I'm getting confused here. Rory Smith then holds on to the position. He's battling away with James Clark. They come back down towards Maggots and Beckett's as the top 2. Both of the Kevin Mills cars are starting to check out at the front here. They come back out through Maggots and Beckett's once again. And also look at Tom MacArthur in the white and orange car. He's joining in the battle to make it an 8-car fight for the lead. Back with Smith, down the Wellington Straight towards Brooklands once more. Top 2 look relatively safe, but it's action stations for 3rd. The 3 Cliff Dempsey cars swarming all around championship leader Ross Martin. Smith in the mix as well. Tom MacArthur's on the back of this train now. He's managed to catch up thanks to all the fighting. And Smith now looks for a move. Here comes the BM racing car. His teammate right behind him for a bit of backup. And the leading Cliff Dempsey car is now Spike Colbecker as he comes down the pit straight. He's now 3rd. It is now Jonathan Brown in 4th. And here comes Rory Smith up the inside of James Clark. That will be for 6th position, but again, Clark's got the momentum around the outside. Coming up to the last couple of laps, and out very wide is James Clark, so he tried to carry way too much speed into the corner. That might be a bit of an abuse of track limits there, so Rory Smith will have to be careful he doesn't get too close to him. A little wiggle under brakes from Clark as he gets the car stopped for Maggots and Beckett's. Now up onto the Wellington straight once again. The top two look safe at the moment. They're in team formation. East well ahead of Moyers, but let's see if the Cliff Dempsey cars or Ross Martin or Rory Smith have anything to say about that. They're back down towards Brooklands. That's Ross Martin putting the pressure on Jonathan Brown for 4th position. But Brown slots in behind his teammate in 3rd. And Cole Becker has now caught the tail of Michael Moyers into Luffield. They're going to come up to what I think should be the last lap very time soon. Out of the final couple of corners and onto the pit straight, I think, to start the last lap of the race. If we get the last lap board coming past the pits, we do, I think. And down into the right-hander at Copse Corner. So there's still plenty of action here as they come into the right-hander on the start of the last lap of the race. This is now Jamie Sharp, and he's going to try and get around Tom MacArthur, who's struggling. So Tom MacArthur with a problem. And they come back down towards Maggots and Beckett's, but the leaders into Maggots and Beckett's for the final time. And Michael Eastwell trying to hold on here with Moyers in 2nd place. It is still Spike Colbecker in 3rd, but both Brown and Martin might have something up their sleeve here. It's one final run down the back straight towards the complex for the last time, and it's side by side between the two leaders. Moyers looks for the lead down the outside line, but if he's not careful, he might be under threat from the 4 cars behind him. They head into Brooklands together, and I think Eastwell might have done just about enough. That's now, I think that's possibly Martin with Brown to his inside as they come round the final couple of corners. But out of Luffield through Woodcote for the last time. It's going to be joy for Kevin Mills, because Eastwell did this at Kirkistown. He's going to do it again at Silverstone. He takes the checkered flag and wins the first race of the weekend here at Silverstone in a threading opening race here at the home of British Motorsport. Eastwell wins, Moyers 2nd, Colbecker 3rd, then Brown, Martin, Clark, Smith, Sharp, McPherson and Capazone round out the top 10, with Smith getting the fastest lap. Then Quinn, Chart, Monbaron, Svensson, Dolan and then Quartermain and Street rounding out the finishers. A brilliant first race, and there's still 2 more to go this weekend.
Race 2 for the National Formula Ford Championship is about to get underway here at Silverstone. Conditions are still pretty much perfect. And the start, how they finished the first race. So Michael Eastwell on 2nd. There's Michael Moyers. Fantastic return for him yesterday. Spike Colbecker, he's 2nd in the championship, starts 3rd position ahead of Ross Martin, who is the championship leader. Then it's Jonathan Brown. But let's see if we can grab a quick word with Ross Martin. He's getting himself prepared. He's leading the championship. You're starting behind your main championship rival. What's your plan going into the first corner, Ross?
Yeah, keep it clean. Points are key, but again, consistency this year has been helpful to me, and I've just got to bring it home. I mean, Spike's still close and he can pounce on me, and I know he's quick, but again, I'm fast enough round here, and I had a good race in the first one. I just get pushed back at the end, so I'll hopefully be coming through.
Yeah, and you've got to play your tactics right around Silverstone, haven't you? Because you don't want to be leading from the start. You want to pick your points where you want to move and stay in the tow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Michael done a good job out front, but it's going to be hard when you are leading. So I think pouncing at the end would be key, and obviously coming across the line, it would be nice. But yeah, I think another top 5 would be nice to me.
Yeah. Michael Eastwell, he's a pretty quick driver. You've got a lot of quick drivers in front of you. You just got to race your own race, keep it clean, and pick up the points for the championship.
Exactly, yeah. Thanks very much, guys.
Good stuff, right? Well, good luck.
Cheers, thank you.
Cheers. So with that, Scott, I'll hand you to this one. It should be a scorcher.
Certainly should be, Anthony. Cars heading onto the grid for race 2, set by the results of race 1. So Eastwell and Moyers on the front row of the grid from Colbecker and Brown. Martin and Clark on row 3 from Smith and Sharp making up row 4. Then the top 10's completed by Michael McPherson and Thomas Capazone, Morgan Quinn and Henry Chart, Pascal Monbaron and John Svensson. Nigel Dolan also in the mix, starting from the 8th row of the grid. And here's the last 4 starters, but watch for Joey Foster from the back of the grid after his engine problems yesterday. He will be a threat coming through the field, so don't expect him to stay towards the back. He will certainly be finishing up towards the front by the checkered flag. So the green flag at the back, it's an all Kevin Mills front row. Can it stay like that for the next 15 minutes? We'll watch for Michael Moyers. The red lights are on, and race number 2 is underway at Silverstone, and immediately it's a very good start from Michael Eastwell and Michael Moyers. It is side by side between the two Kevin Mills cars into Copse Corner for the first time. Colbecker has a small look up the inside to take 2nd through turn 1, but can't get through. And this is now Ross Martin putting the attack on Jonathan Brown early doors down towards Maggots and Beckett. As again, on this Sunday morning, it's quite sunny this morning, so it looks as though the weather conditions have managed to stay quite bright and dry. Now there goes Ross Martin going wheel to wheel, gets hung out to dry as he looked round the outside of Spike Colbecker. This is Rory Smith now. He's got Cliff Dempsey cars all in front of him, plus Ross Martin. And they're blocking his view and his way as they come back down towards Brooklands for the first time. So down the Wellington Straight, it is going to be Michael Moyes that leads the way. Eastwell in second place. The two championship contenders go side by side again at the apex. Martin gets his nose in front, and Colbecker has to slot in behind. And now he's under threat from James Clark. Jonathan Brown's also tucked right underneath him as they come up through Luffield and up through Woodcote for the first time. And now we've got Clark and Brown going side by side. Smith gives him a very friendly nudge up through Woodcote to give him a bit of an extra bump draft. And again, the three Cliff Dempsey cars are going into combat. So it is now Michael Moyes that leads. Eastwell second, then it's Martin in third position. Top three back through Copse Corner at racing speeds at the start of lap 2. And there's Ross Martin saying, look, go, let's let the battlers work together. Let's not fight for the first half. Let's the three of us work together, pull away at the front and have our own private battle. But it may not be as simple as that, because the Cliff Dempsey trio will certainly try to close him down, as will, I'm sure, Rory Smith, as Michael McPherson gets edged out wide by first Jamie Sharp and then looks like Aaron Jeanson in the mix. Now we've got James Clark on the back of his teammates. They come back down Brooklands for the second time. And once more into Brooklands around the outside. The pair of the Kevin Mills cars comes Ross Martin. Gets past Eastwell. Can he get past Moyes? I think he can. On board with Moyes into the right-hander at Luffield. Has Martin got through? Yes, he has. So the championship leader and champion-elect, Ross Martin, is into the lead here with a great pass round the outside, taking both Kevin Mills cars in one fell swoop through Brooklands, then completing the move at Luffield, and he's back into the lead. So down the pit straight, Martin leads, but immediately under threat from Moyes. Eastwell in the mix as well. Then the three Cliff Dempsey cars are 4th, 5th and 6th, with Rory Smith also in tow in 7th place. Up through Copse Corner, with a great one off the corner comes Moyes. They're going to be side by side again for the lead. And this is the view from Rory Smith. He's got 1, 2, make it 3 Cliff Dempsey cars all in front of him. And he's 3 abreast with Clark and Brown into the right-hander at Maggots and Beckett. Colbecker holds on to 4, but what about for 5th position? I think it may well have just been held by Jonathan Brown. Down the back straight they go. This is Colbecker's view, staring at the gearbox of Michael Eastwell, as in front of them, both Moyes and Martin are going back into combat for the lead. Side by side, down the end of the Wellington Straight, under brakes into Brooklands. Colbecker takes a look round the outside of Eastwell, but the returnee to the championship slots in front and maintains third position. And now his teammates are starting to stack up behind Colbecker. Here's Smith looking around the outside of Brown. They all use the curb on the exit, exiting Luffield. Now through Woodcote, this flat-out right-hander that takes them back past the start and finish line and back towards Copse Corner again. And Martin still leads the way as Smith looks up the inside of Jonathan Brown, but he's still busy focusing on Colbecker, and because of that, he didn't see the attack from Smith coming through. So Brown has to capitulate and let Smith through into 4th position. Jonathan Brown now for a move here on the back of Robbie Smith as they come back into the complex at Maggots and Beckett, and Martin holds on to the lead. Moyes looked around the outside, but there wasn't any room to get through. Eastwell still third. It's now side by side for 4th as Robbie Smith is also pointing to that Spike Colbecker, and he's Clark gets on the back of Rory Smith. He's now going side by side with the BM Racing driver. We're on board with Smith. There is Clark on the outside line, as again for the outside to the lead. Into Maggots and Beckett goes Joey Foster. This is an endless back and forth scrap between the two main contenders in the race. And now is Michael Eastwell and the 3 Cliff Dempsey cars, and also Moyes and also Smith all stack up behind the top 2. It really is anyone's guess for the victory. It's going to be 3 abreast again, side by side between Foster and Martin. Into Brooklands corner, under brakes, and Joe Foster goes right round the outside of the championship leader. Martin gets sideways, but this now puts Foster on the inside for Woodcote and Luffield. I think he's got through. He has got through. So Joey Foster, incredibly, from the back of the field, has gone to the lead in almost about 10 or 15 minutes. That's incredible. And now Martin's saying, look, immediately, let's not hang around. Let's try and pull away. Let's work together. I don't think that was quite in Ross Martin's game plan to lose the lead to Joey Foster, of all people, but even so, he'll try and use it if he can to try and pull away with what little time there is left in the race. So Eastwell back in 3rd position, but Joey Foster, reminding everyone exactly how quick he is in a Formula Ford, back to the front from the rear of the grid. Here's Spike Colbecker looking behind his teammate, Jonathan Brown, who in turn is looking for 3rd place, down the outside into Maggots and Beckett, but he holds on. And now running wide is James Clark, getting elbowed out wide by Michael Moyes and also Rory Smith. This is the view from Clark. There's Moyes on the right. I think that's Spike Colbecker on the left as they come back down towards Brooklands. Does Martin have any response here? They're all stacking up behind for second and third. Up the inside goes Brown on Michael Eastwell. Colbecker goes round the outside of Moyes and at the inside line tries to get past also Michael Eastwell. Eastwell goes over the curb, he goes over the grass, he pushes both Colbecker and also Michael Moyes out wide. Jonathan Brown fights back around the outside line. Colbecker loses one spot. He might lose a second. Michael Eastwell gets the run through Woodcote Corner. Down the pit straight towards Copse Corner. And I think we're about to possibly start the last lap of the race here, as both Joey Foster and Ross Martin turn their way into Copse Corner, what looks to be the last time. So Ross Martin still trying to possibly grab the lead away if he can. He's still waving it for Joey Foster. Listen, let's keep on battling here. Maybe we can possibly get away at the front. As they come into Maggots and Beckett, still with Foster holding on, Martin in tow as they come out of Maggots and Beckett's. It's been an exhausting race, but Foster may well be putting on one of the best performances of the season so far from back to front. And again, this Ross Martin still gesticulating, come on, further away from the cars behind. I think they've got just enough of a comfortable enough cushion to hold on for first and second place. Joey Foster turns his way into Brooklands for the last time, into Luffield. Martin in tow, the championship leader. This will do his championship connotations no harm whatsoever, out of Woodcote and Luffield. And would you believe it, only someone like Joey Foster could go from last to first after engine problems yesterday. They head to the checkered flag, and Joe Foster will try and pull alongside, but they're going to go side by side again. I think they've got one more time actually down the pit straight. And in fact, it's actually Joe Foster who does take the victory. I didn't see the checkered flag, so Foster wins. Martin in second place, Eastwell third from Brown fourth, and Moyes rounds out the top five. Then Smith, MacArthur, Clark, MacArthur and Capazone. Then it's Sharp, Svensson, Quinn, Colbecker, for some reason down in 14th position after a time penalty. Then Monbaron, Svensson, Quartermain, Dolan, Chart. What an exhausting race.
Well, Joey, after the disappointment yesterday, that race, you can't really define it because you run out of superlatives.
Yeah, I didn't expect to win that, to be honest. You know, starting right at the back. Yeah, if there's one track you can overtake on, it's Silverstone National, and you always believe you can get into the mix. But you know, these guys are incredibly quick racers, and they've been perfecting their art over the course of the season. So to jump in, be battling with them, and to come out on top feels pretty good.
I was looking at the timing screen. A few laps in, you're running about 10th. It's like, oh, when's he going to make his move? He's got stuck in the traffic. But once you got clear of them, it was just there's no other way it's going to end.
No, well, I think at one stage, sort of when you're running mid-pack, you're riding amongst it. You're not getting the clean air through the car, so the temperatures once again were creeping up on the engine. I thought, don't know if this is going to go the distance, to be honest. But yeah, managed to sort of stay in the mix. They were scrapping a little bit as well. And then, got right up behind Ross and managed to make a move around the outside of Brooklyn. So.
Yeah, he did well defending for a few laps, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was putting out all of the tricks. I was trying to get around the outside of him into Beckett's, but then he would stop it on the apex, and I couldn't get the run down the inside. So eventually I got a really good run off the corner and managed to make the move quite early on the straight, which gave me the momentum around the outside. But it was close.
Reverse grid coming up.
Yeah, no idea where I'll be starting, but
it doesn't really matter, does it?
There won't be as many cars to overtake in the next one as there was in that one. So yeah, bodes well.
Oh, well, for now, go and enjoy it. Well done.
Thank you.
Ross, what a race. Firstly, congratulations, second place. It's not a bad result. You finished ahead of your championship rival, but you just can't keep Joey behind you.
Yeah, strong race. I mean, I made a good start, and obviously getting into lead after the two Spectrums at Brooklands was awesome. But yeah, now I know how hard it is to lead around Silverstone. And a Formula 4, it is very, very hard. But I had a strong car. It was fast enough. But as soon as you get into that back straight, the wind just takes over. And you've got these guys behind you. But yeah, Joey was coming through the pack. I knew he would. And pressured maybe with 3 or 4 laps. I managed to hold him, but just not quite getting into Brooklands in the second to last lap. And yeah, fair play, he got by me, nice clean move, and just pushed him over the line from there.
The third and final race of the National Formula 4 Championship is about to get underway here at Silverstone. The top 7 have been reversed, which puts Tom MacArthur on pole position, and next to him is Rory Smith. Joey Foster, who won the second race, is down in 7th place, and then it's Ross Martin. But everybody in front of Joey Foster is capable of winning races, so who's going to take this one? I'll put my money on Joey Foster. What do you think, Scott?
Tough one to call, Anthony. Of course, the championship is also up for grabs potentially in this race, but we'll wait and see what occurs. Tom MacArthur has reverse grid pole with Rory Smith alongside him, then Michael Moyes and Jonathan Brown, followed by Michael Eastwell and Ross Martin, then Joey Foster and James Clark on row 4, followed by Michael McPherson and Thomas Capazone. Jamie Sharp and John Svensson make up row 6 from Morgan Quinn and Spike Colbecker back in 14th, and Pascal Monbaron back on row 8, and then it's Van Quartermain, Nigel Dolan, Henry Chart and Sam Street rounding out the 20-car grid. So this is all vital. Not only could it be another victory for Joey Foster, but indeed there is championship potential on the line for Ross Martin. Can he get the title? Let's find out and see if he can in race 3. Lights out, and we're underway for the final race of the weekend, down towards turn 1 for the first time. And it is Tom McCarthy who gets the whole shot from his BM Racing teammate Rory Smith as they head into Copse Corner for the first time. Back on board with Jonathan Brown. He's on the back of Michael Moyes as they come back down towards the Maggots and Beckett's complex at Racing Speeds on lap 1. It's side by side between the two teammates. Rory Smith looking down the outside of his teammates. We've then got Moyes in 3rd position. Brown going wheel to wheel with possible champion-elect Ross Martin. And then it's Joey Foster up to 6th position already after starting back in 7th. Race 2 winner earlier on after he put on that fantastic last to first performance down the back straight. Now possibly for the lead already has gone Michael Moyes. So Tom McArthur's been swamped. Bit of contact possibly with his teammates as McArthur stands on the brakes and locks up. As they come back into the complex at Luffield, round through the right-hander. Smith is working away at the wheel behind Michael Moyes. But it is once again, it looks to be Ross Martin through all of that. He's taken the lead once again. So at the end of the first lap, it's going to be Ross Martin, who is racing for the championship this afternoon, with Michael Moyes in 2nd place. Then it is Smith in 3rd. 4th place looks to be the first of the Cliff Dempsey cars. Tom McArthur is back in 5th position. It's Jonathan Brown in 4th position for the record. Looking up the inside for 2nd was Smith. He was over the curb and puts Moyes out wide on the exit of Copse. And they're at it again at the start of lap number 2. Here comes Jonathan Brown down the outside of both Smith and potentially Moyes. He looks for 2nd place, but Moyes has him covered. Brown could still get 3rd if he carries the grip around the outside. And Tom McArthur may look for a move here in 4th position. They come out of the right-hander. They go wide over the curbs on the exit, down the Wellington straight, down towards the left-hander at Brooklands once again. Down this long back straight as we see Ross Martin trying to break away. Moyes already darting to the outside line for 2nd place. Sweeps around through Brooklands. Is there going to be a bit of contact? I think there isn't. But Moyes once again, he's done that several times in race 2. He goes out wide to get the inside run for Luffield. Does carry a bit of momentum on the entry of the corner, but on the exit it might compromise a little bit of speed depending on the nature of the complex that he's going through. So Jonathan Brown then in the slipstream looking for 4th position if he can on the back of Michael Moyes. Smith is in 2nd place. Down the pit straight go the leaders all together in one line as Smith darts out to have a look at Martin. Now Michael Moyes has got a good chance to possibly pick up 2nd place if he plays his cards right here with a great run off of Copse. And he goes to the outside line. Smith squeezes him to the edge of the road. He really puts him towards the edge of the track, possibly onto the grass. And Smith again holds the inside line under braking. Brown tries to put his nose up the inside for 3rd place. We've then got Tom McArthur in 4th still. And then just behind is Joey Foster there, still running in the top 6. Back on board with Smith. He darts to the outside line to go wheel to wheel with Martin. Side by side on the sprint down towards Brooklands. Where's he going to go? Has he got enough grip around the outside? I think he's going for it, as is Brown on Moyes. And Smith does go for it down the outside line of Martin and gets through, and there's contact behind. That's Tom McArthur tagging Jonathan Brown. McArthur looks to be possibly out of it. Brown's got left front suspension damage. He's definitely out of the race. That's a real shame of what was a fantastic start for the Irishman. And already Ross Martin at the hand gestures again. Come on, let's go for it. Let's keep on pulling away from the top 2. And looks as though Moyes is trying to go with them here. Eastwell's got quite a big gap in 4th position. Thomas Capazone's up in 5th place. In 6th position, that is what is going to be 6th now, is Capazone. He goes wheel to wheel with Jamie Sharp. Also behind there looks to be, that is Micah McPherson. No, it is Micah McPherson. He's battling away, I think, with another one of the Cliff Dempsey cars. That's going to be Spike Colbeck, as he's really dropped back in the order. He's now going wheel to wheel with McPherson. And then we have Morgan Quinn trying to chase after them. And then James Clark has lost a lot of time in that sequence too. He's also a few places back. And we've also seemed to have lost Joey Foster in the sequence somewhere as well. So he was involved in that too by the looks of it. As we come back into the left-hander. Now the marshals are there to recover Jonathan Brown's car. We may well get a safety car as a result of it. Let's wait and see. They're coming to the complex. There's not really any overtaking here as McPherson tried to look up the inside of Jamie Sharp. But he can't get through, otherwise that would have risked the penalty. You can see on the left-hand side the yellow flags and the safety car boards are out. So that means a safety car has been deployed here at Silverstone for the first time this weekend. So they come past the pits. You continue racing, continue see the safety car boards and flags. Jetline appears to have done already some cars at the back. You can see weaving from side to side. There's Joey Foster towards the back. He lost a lot of time as a result of that. Robbie Smith is also catching up. He's now, of course, in the lead now, so he got past Ross Martin just before that accident happened. So he now heads behind the Volkswagen Passat Estate safety car. The field now at reduced speed here, so under the safety car. This is the replay of what happened. And now Foster tagged McArthur, which put him out wide, and as a result, McArthur was sent into Jonathan Brown. So that's how Foster went down the order. I think he might be out of the race too. And this is now Jonathan Brown's view. And just as MacArthur came across and he almost launched himself over the front end of Brown's car, so thankfully there was no collision with Jonathan himself. And so we'll wait and see what might be in store later on. So the safety car lights appear to be out, which means that Jonathan Rory Smith now becomes the safety car. He starts to stack up the pack behind him. So he's now got to decide when he wants to put his foot down and restart the race. Once he goes, he has to go. He can't simply go on and off the throttle, but just trying to tee everyone up. Place that will certainly give him quite a bit of confidence going into the Walter Hayes races at the beginning of November. But of course before that we do also have the Formula Ford Festival, the two big end of season Formula Ford events. And it's a fairly good coincidence that we've got Silverstone and then Brands Hatch back to back in the National Formula Ford Championship at the end of the season. Good preludes and good practice for both of the two big season-ending events, the Festival and the Walter Hayes. So into Maggots and Beckett's they come again. Rory Smith is looking to try and pick up a victory, and if he can, it will only be his second win of the season, because he won the very first race of the year back at Snetterton in Norfolk back in April in equally sunny but much warmer conditions. And Ross Martin again trying to work the tandem with Rory Smith down into Brooklands, under brakes into a left-hander, this long left-hander with a very, very short straight, and then you turn in through the long right-hander of Luffield. Ross Martin again just tries to put his power in. He knows exactly what he needs to do. I don't think he's even fighting Rory Smith too much. He just knows he has to stay there and bag the points, and it may well be enough for him for the championship. Down the pit straight again, across the line, Smith and Martin together as one. Then the two Kevin Mills Spectrums. Moyes ahead of Eastwell. Still Capizone in 5th position. That could be a personal best for him, the Frenchman. And the Swift chassis. Out of Cops. Back on board with Martin. And again, he's not really bothering to make a move here on Rory Smith. He knows he just has to sit there and bank the points. That's all he has to do. Got the nose cone looking a little bit scruffy there after he's been nudging the back of Rory Smith with the bump draft. He's going to go at it again. Here he comes. Latches on to the back of the Medina chassis, and the two of them now acting like an 8-wheeled Formula Ford, cutting a bigger hole in the air, which means they can travel much faster. So they come into Brooklands, clip the apex nicely, up through Luffield, this long corner again. Ross Martin's had quite an up and down career over the last few seasons. Of course, he came into Formula Ford in 2017 after his prize driving British F4 dried up, sadly. He's now been able to reinvigorate his career. He's been Scottish Formula Ford champion in 2018. He also made the scholarship shootout for the Mazda Road to Indy USF 2000 $200,000 prize. He made the shootout. And he then switched to Team Dolan for this season. Of course, he's driving the same car which former double champion and double festival winner Niall Murray piloted to victory. And this car has been a very specially engineered car, of course, looked after by Bernard Dolan and Team Dolan. A fantastically built engine, and the whole package is absolutely superb, and Ross Martin now the latest man to benefit from this incredible car. And again, getting the bump draft down towards Brooklands, pulling out that gap, and it is working. He's putting out just a few tenths per lap now on the cars behind, but even though they are trying to work together, so are the two Kevin Mills cars. You can see them go through shot together, both Michael Moyes and Michael Eastwell employing very similar, if not identical, tactics to try and keep the top two in touch as they come up through Woodcote. Only roughly round about maybe 4 or 5 minutes to go here. There's a black and white flag going up for somebody. That must be for track limits. Couldn't quite see who it was. But as they come back into Cop's corner, Rory Smith would really love to pick up his second victory of the season if he can. Ross Martin would certainly like to add another win to his tally. His best weekend to date so far in the National Formula Ford has been the triple that he picked up at Crop. The 3 victories he did to effectively wrap up the entire weekend and claim it all for himself, and he was dominant that weekend in North Yorkshire. Not quite as dominant this weekend, but he's certainly able to bank as many points as possible in these races to keep on racking up the podiums, the top 5s, and where he can, the victories too. And it all counts towards the end of season tally when it comes to Formula Ford. So not long to go in this race, and still Ross Martin just keeping Rory Smith very, very honest indeed. And coming out of the right-hander at Luffield once again, and through that flat-out right-hander at Woodcote. Ross Martin just biding his time, and again, I don't think he's really bothered too much about passing him. He just wants to bank those points for second. I know we keep saying it, but that seems to be the plan. If you're wondering why he's not trying to pass him, I don't think he needs to. I think he realises that as well, because Ross is not only just a good racer, he's quite a smart racer as well. He knows exactly what he needs to do. He doesn't have to go for the win every time. To get the best result he can, it's going to be the biggest reward with the least amount of risk, and this is certainly that, keeping with Rory Smith at the front. Looks like Michael Moyes running a little wide on the exit of Beckett's, and again Ross Martin does what he has done several laps now, just clips onto the back of the gearbox of Rory Smith and then unlatches himself as they both hit the brakes. And again, because the two Kevin Mills spectrums are working together, these two aren't really pulling away as much as they would like to ideally. They're certainly giving it all they've got as they come out to complete another lap. There's only a handful of them to go, and it looks as though I think it could be looking very good indeed for Ross Martin to wrap up the 2019 title here this afternoon, but he has to get the flag first. Whether it will be in first or second remains to be seen. At the moment, all the signs point to possibly second place. If he wanted first, he probably could have taken it by now, but I think he and Will Smith have got a plan here, executing it nicely at this point in time. Track temperature just improving a little bit. I think we had a little bit of dampness this morning, but certainly has improved over the day. It's now a bone dry circuit and decent temperatures around the Silverstone circuit this afternoon. Not as close as he had been last time, right? A little bit of a lacking exit from Maggots and Beckett's, but he has managed to get back onto the tail of Smith by the time they hit the brakes into Brooklands. There's only a couple of laps to go here. Smith is putting on quite a good effort. I wouldn't say it's a defensive effort, because if he was, he'd be coming under attack from Ross Martin effectively every corner, but Rory Smith is simply driving his racing line and Ross Martin allowing him to, just benefiting from the slipstream. Again, they come back down towards Cops Corner, closes back in, they both turn in through the right hand as one through the first corner. Nice and neat on the exit, using all the curb they need to, not running wide and getting any possibility of track limit penalty. It's the last thing Ross Martin needs. Get a time penalty for track limits or anything else. Updrafting's not really harming Rory Smith or him. In fact, it's helping them both in many cases. The two Kevin Mills cars stay in third and fourth position. Again, Ross Martin giving the signal. Keep going. We're not there yet. Keep going. Let's keep on working together. So these four cars have got the race under control. They're effectively in a class of their own at the moment, not really sort of being challenged by anyone else, and that really is working to their advantage. Looks as though it's possibly Colbecker in fifth position. He looks like he's got past Thomas Capazone. Did just see the field flash past the shot from fifth place downwards. So possibly Colbecker in P5, but my calculations, that's not enough for him to potentially hold on to the last rounds at Brands Hatch. I think it may well be champion-elect now for Ross Martin. He's only got a couple of laps to go here to get the job done. Cops Corner, and down the straight towards Maggots and Beckett's. There's not long to go in this race. About roughly a lap and a half to go now as Ross Martin continues in the wheel track to Smith, and again behind the two Kevin Mills cars were going into combat. I don't know if there was going to be a change of position between them, and I'm not sure. It's difficult to tell because they're both, of course, identically painted, white and blue. Whether it's Moyes or Eastwell in front, we'll possibly have to wait and see until the result, until it gets the checkered flag into the complex. There is going to be possibly one more time around the Silverstone National circuit, and Ross Martin knows what he has to do. Rory Smith remaining in the lead, just towing the champion-elect with him as they turn out of Luffield and up towards Woodcote in the second to last time. And through the last corner to start the last lap of the race here at Silverstone. He's again telling him, keep going, one more lap. And down into Cops Corner they go. Ross Martin's had such an incredible season so far. And Smith is certainly dragging him around the circuit, and he's given the signal. Right, I've got the message, let's keep going. One more time around, we can get this job done. Back into Maggots and Beckett's, under brakes. They've got a nice comfortable cushion on Michael Moyes, who is in front of Eastwell for the confirmation. And out through Maggots and Beckett's, onto the Wellington straight for the last time. I think possibly Ross Martin's let him go, because there's no point in fighting him. Second place is going to be enough. Under the bridge, now past the BRDC grandstand at Brooklands, and Rory Smith has certainly driven a brilliant race. He hasn't had to really fight too much because he has worked together with the man behind him. He heads into Luffield. and up through Woodwiss for the final time, but this man has done everything he needs to. It's been a cool, calm and very calculated drive. He will head out of Woodwiss through Luffield for the final time. Rory Smith will win the final race of the weekend at Silverstone, but second place is going to be enough to give Ross Martin the 2019 Avon Tyres National Formula 4 Championship. Ross Martin takes second place and the title. Smith takes the victory. Moyes the final place on the podium. Eastwell, Colbecker, Capazone, Clark, Quinn, McPherson and Svensson round out the top 10. And Quartermain back in 12th with Sharp, Dolan, Sharp and Street. An incredible weekend and a massive congratulations to Ross Martin, the new Avon Tyres National Formula 4 champion.
Well, Rory, from second place to first place on the podium, you've had quite a year of it. This was well deserved.
Yeah, definitely. We've had since the first race of the season, which we won, we've just had really, really bad luck. We've always had the speed. We've just had incidents here and there, which has just held us back. We've had a few podiums along the way, but haven't had the win since the start of the year, so it's really nice to get back on the top step again.
Well, Ross, how close was that? You're pushing him all the way, and I bet all you can taste is exhaust fumes.
Yeah, close race. I mean, Rory drove awesome out front. He never made a mistake. But for me, yeah, it was a tactical race, and obviously I played that game very well, and he listened very well. You know, he took my signals, and we worked together well. You know, we've done it in the past, and it works around here. So, yeah, fair play to Rory. But again, the car was awesome. I mean, a good start. You know, I think I gained 6 positions in one lap, but the plan was never to hit the front that early, but we made it work, you know, especially Rory being the lead car. But yeah, awesome result, and it's done the championship world of good.
Well, Michael, here again on the podium. It's been a great return. How have you found it this weekend?
Fantastic. I mean, the reason we've come here is preparation for the Walter Hayes in a couple of months' time. So we've achieved exactly what we wanted to achieve. So yeah, I'm chuffed. 2 podiums out of 3 races.
You've won it twice. You go for a hat trick at the Walter Hayes.
Yeah, we're going for the hat trick this year, so no pressure. But this has been brilliant preparation. So a massive thanks to the team and all of my sponsors for making this event possible. So thanks.